Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Fix Your BS, the podcast where we dive deep into the belief systems that shape our lives and hold us back from achieving our dreams. I'm your host, Dr. Greg Pursley, also known as Dr. G, and in each episode, we explore powerful conversations with successful individuals across business, money, relationships, health, and personal growth. Join us as we unpack their journeys, challenge limiting beliefs, and discover practical insights to help you build your dream life on your terms. It's time to fix your BS and unlock your full potential. Today, we have a friend of mine. His name is Matt Smith. And if you don't know this guy, you should. He's an all-around good dude. He's honest, genuine, happy, extremely caring. He is the owner of Snooze Sleep. He is going to help you fall asleep today and get the best rest of your life. And he also has appeared on Undercover Billionaire. If you haven't seen his episodes, great watch. If you're an entrepreneur wanting to start a business or just wanting to understand more about business, that is a great show that you could watch to understand more about that. But without further ado, Matt Smith, how you doing today, bud?
Was a great introduction, man. You have like a voice for radio, Dr. G. That was well done.
I also have a face for radio. Did you know that?
You're on fire. You're winning, man. But I love what you do, and I appreciate the kind introduction. You're an amazing, man, and one of my favorite humans out there. So I'm glad to see you're crushing this game and continuing to inspire people all over the world.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. It is one of my dreams. One of my goals is to help millions of people live their life on their terms. And what I mean by that is, you really embody that because you act on your beliefs, your faith. You act on your internal drive. Like most people live their life based on someone else's idea of what they should do. And you're not like that. I love that about you. You're like, dude, I'm going to give, I'm going to serve, I'm going to help others and do it in a way that, like, I don't think I've ever seen you, like, even through hard times, you weren't like sad. You were just happy. I love that about you, dude.
Nah, I appreciate it. I think attitude is everything. And, I have my hard times, but, hard times are funner when you smile and laugh through them, because they're going to be hard one way or another. And we just don't have time to cry and pout. We just got to keep moving forward. So now I appreciate that. And I think that, to your point, I think that's a big point. So many people would live for somebody else, and I am blessed I like to question why we do this stuff. Like who created that rule and who did this and why? Because there's no reason we can't do what we want to do when we want to do it and how and raise our kids, free and curious. And that's what life's about. Like somebody created rules that we all decided we were supposed to follow. And that's a problem. It's a big problem.
What you're talking about is thinking. That's what you're talking about, actually thinking. And one of my favorite quotes is from Henry Ford. He says, thinking is the hardest work there is. That's why so few people do it. And, actually taking a moment to identify where you are in life, what your goals are, what your purpose is, why you're doing what you're doing, instead of just being reactive is awesome. So I commend you for that. You've built a great business. You've had some amazing success. And today I really want to go over, really a few things. Number one, I'd like to hear some stories from you, of your wins, of your I don't know, hard times. I don't want to say hard times, but struggles that you've gone through, growing a business, raising a family, having a great marriage. That's something I love talking to you about because we have that in common. My marriage is just something that I really love and enjoy. And I think there's more people that need to have that. We can talk about that too. But we want to talk about stories. We want to talk about steps that people can take that are actionable, that they can do right now to improve their life, to improve any of those pillars, any of those areas, and any aha moments that you've had along the way. Because most people would look at where you are and be like, man, I wish I could be there. I want to be there. Or how did he get there? I want to do that. And so those are the things we really want to unpack to help other people, really understand themselves and move in that direction as well.
Yeah. No, I love it. So, just wins, man. I mean, I could go through a ton of wins since last time we met, but we are, Snooze is growing nationally and now globally. I mean, we've got stores going into Ireland and it looks like London and UK and Wales right now. And all over from coast to coast in the United States. And, I think we're learning every day. I mean, I think that's the part of entrepreneurship is you either, you win or you learn. There is no losing, and we learn a lot, but that's what you sign up for. I think when you come work for the Snooze organization, you better be ready for chaos and fun, because there is no 9 to 5 and just do these 5 jobs and that's it. That's a part of our interviewing here. But I think, we have been unbelievably blessed to surround myself by just incredible humans, and, be at that point in life where we're able to pick that, and I, like you said, I married my soulmate, which is the best blessing of everything in the world. And 3 beautiful, healthy children. And, we just got back from Cambodia and Thailand last, 2 weeks ago. And it was just, I don't think we realize how blessed we are owning a business, owning a franchise, whatever. Like, just being born in America, we hit the lottery. Like, and when you see, like, we were in Cambodia, just an unbelievable families. But this guy was the mayor for, I don't know, 15 or 20 years. And they still are living on rainwater, and they're still doing dishes in the backyard, and they're still like have outhouses in the backyard. And we don't realize how blessed we are. And it was so great for my kids to see that culture and see what else goes on in the rest of the world. And, if nothing else, we got opportunity here. We have opportunity, and it is what you make of it in the United States, and it is what you make of it here. And I think in life, I'm blessed to marry my soulmate, but I work hard at that every day. I got 3 beautiful, healthy children that know right from wrong, and they're good humans, but I work hard at that every day. And
I love that you said that, though. Like, the 2 things that I talk about a lot is appreciation and gratitude, obviously. So I combine those together: appreciation, gratitude, which you just talked about, but also, taking action, and working towards a life that you love. I think a lot of people marry what they would consider their soulmate, and then they stop working at it. And then later on down in the relationship, because they stopped working at it, they just grow apart. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why so many couples end up getting divorced after their kids leave, because they didn't date each other for 18, 19, 20, 21 years. And all of a sudden their kids are gone, and they look at this person and they go, who are you? I don't even, you're like a complete stranger. So talk to me about that a little bit. How do you work on that every day? The relationship, the being a father, being a business owner, you're working towards expansion. A lot of people would say that that's not sustainable because there's too many things that you're focused on. So tell me a little bit. I mean, what were some of your tips, tricks, strategies?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, surround yourself by good people that, that will help take that off, know that you can't do this on your own. But prioritize, I mean, I tell everybody, like, my mom, my wife and my children and family, like, that's what life is about to me. This other stuff, it's all noise. If I lost everything else, it'll be all right. I'll be just fine and dandy. As long as I still got my wife and my kids, all this other stuff it's a fun thrill, and I know I'll be successful in life. I know that whatever success means, but I do think that because of even Undercover Billionaire you brought up, I've been interviewed on a couple stages, and people are like, you've been around all these successful billionaires. What's the common denominator? And I'm like, that's not success. Like, billionaires does not mean success. That's money, and I am the most successful person I know because my wife adores me. I adore her, and I got 3 beautiful children, and they're just great humans. And that's success. My kids love me and I love them, and all this other stuff, but you have to prioritize that. Like, I go home and make sure I'm hanging out with my kids, even when I'm in chaos here. And I wake up super early so I can get stuff done that doesn't affect them before they go to school, and I really have learned the rules of bending time, I guess, as I wrote in my book a while back, is like finding out where those niches are to get stuff done, where it doesn't affect, but, make sure you prioritize parenting, because nobody will regret, all the money that you made in the world versus the family, you know what I mean? And the family is what matters. And that's what makes us all smile too.
It's interesting. I was watching this interview because you hit something right here. Success. What is it? I love that, because a lot of people would say money or fame or whatever. So there's 2 definitions that I really love of success. One success is a movement towards a worthy ideal. So that means the individual can define what that worthy ideal is to them, whatever that worthy ideal is, whether it's, whatever, making $1 billion, or whether it's, just being content in life or whatever, but they get to say that. So it's movement towards that ideal that they've created. And then the other one was a billionaire was interviewed. I watched this not too long ago. And somebody said, oh, how did it, what is success to you? You've made all this money. Is that success? He goes, success to me is being the age I am now, and my kids want to come hang out with me.
Mhm.
And you don't get that unless
Absolutely.
you put in the work, like you just said, and it doesn't have to be bad work. I mean, put in the work of being in the moment and paying attention to, giving your attention to, your kids, your family.
Mhm.
I always say God number one, faith is what I put as number one, family's number two, and then everything else kind of falls into line. And I love that you said that. If the money, if the business, if all that went away, and I still had my family and my faith, man, we can always rebuild money and businesses, right?
Amen. Yeah, and I mean, you'll see any those people that are billionaires that people think are successful when they go through their third or fourth divorce or whatever it may be, and they're like, "Man, I chased the wrong things in life." And Steve Jobs. I mean, so many people you can go back to that it's like it isn't. And I grew up a single mom with no, I didn't have a father, so I think that's I'm probably overcompensating, but I'm definitely like, there's no way I'm not going to be at my kid's stuff. You know what I mean? Because I wasn't there, but regardless of that, like it's what fills the bucket. It is what we're here for. So, but enjoy it, have fun with it. Don't just say you're spending time with them. Like, spend actual quality time. Go. Last week my son is 10 years old, and talk about failures or lessons. I will say, because I don't fail, but like my son is 10, and last week was the first time he beat me at Chuck E. Cheese basketball. And I'm just saying, like, this was like 7 games in a row, and 6 out of 7, I was like, one more game, just one more game. And I could not beat him. And I'm officially saying my son could beat me at Chuck E. Cheese basketball. That is the thing. But those are just moments
Dude,
that I won't forget. And I'm like, I thought it would have been 5 more years before he could beat me. And he's getting good at basketball. So good for him.
that's awesome. That's cool. And those are things as a parent that I think you'll remember that for a long time. He'll probably forget it, but you'll remember it.
Right.
One of my favorite stories about him. So I appreciate last year you had me come out and speak at the Undercover Billionaire Boot
Yeah.
Camp, which was pretty amazing. It was in Pueblo, and great experience. A lot of great people. You had some great speakers on that stage, and the audience was really great as well. And I love the building, the venue you had it in, dude. That I don't know, old school vibe. I just love those
Yeah.
old buildings. It was so cool.
It's above me, actually. That's my office is right there. So it's waking
Yeah,
above me.
yeah, dude, it was awesome. And you redone the whole thing. I love how you've restored it, but it reminds me a lot of our town that we're in. There's just a lot of buildings that are very similar that are being restored and stuff. And so I think that's why I loved it so much. But one of the memories I have is you took us in your snooze van, your big old freaking
Yeah.
snooze mobile, and drove us all out to what lake was that?
Lake Pueblo
It
Reservoir.
was Lake Pueblo. All right.
Yeah.
So drives us all out to Lake Pueblo. He's like, guys, we're going to do a, bonding experience, and we're going to jump in the lake. And so we all go out there, and I don't know, it was like, 20 of us or something, but
Yeah.
your son, dude, he was, I think he was 8 and a half at the
Yeah, it was
time,
an 8. Yeah. Yeah.
and this water is just above freezing.
Yeah.
And we go out there and freaking get out in the rocks, and all the grown adults get out there, all the guys and some women too, and they're like, freezing, but we did it because we can't not do it with all of our guys friends
Right.
here.
100%.
And dude, I turn around and he's coming in. I'm like, what 8-year-old, and what a leader, as you being a dad, being a leader and showing him that and showing that he can do it. And he mustered up the courage to do it. I will never forget that because
No,
I
I love that. I
loved
appreciate
watching
that.
him do that.
No, I love that. And it's so funny you say that, because we even we did this in Cambodia, or not Cambodia, Thailand. They had at the Marriott, they had a giant ice bath, and it was like big enough for 5. And I'm like, this is amazing. We're going to do this every day. And he would get to here. And I really, as an educational thing, I just kept telling him, I'm like, if it's to your neck or if it's to your chest, or if it's 50 degrees or if it's 40 degrees, it's flipping miserable. Take the pain as hard, just do it to the neck and do it as cold as you can, because it doesn't matter. You embrace the suck, because it's going to suck. And I take an ice bath still to this day, every day. And actually, Gary Breck and myself, we're partnering on some ice baths, and we're going to be doing those in our snoozes. And literally every day I get in that ice bath, and every day I'm not used to it. And it still sucks, but it is mind over matters. Me telling my mind, I'm in control. I'm gonna get this. The hardest part of the day is going to be right here in this ice. In 3 minutes, is I got to stay in and out of there. And it's just embrace the suck, because it is going to suck, and it won't. I mean, I'm going to guess 500 ice baths I've taken, and they don't get easier than that one. So embrace it, enjoy it.
But it's really that discipline every day. Gary, obviously we've known him for a while, and great friend of mine, and he's going to be on the podcast here shortly as well. But
Nice.
I love his energy as well. And what I've noticed is I've been attracting and surrounding myself for years with these guys, these people that have just this amazing energy. But people have to understand that came from me becoming someone who is in the same energy level as those people.
100%.
I have a purpose. I'm excited about life. I show up. I take the risk. I do the thing. I embrace the suck. And I love that. Embrace the suck, because, your life, your dream life is on the other side of something that you either don't want to do or that's going to suck a little bit. You're going to have to learn some stuff. You're going to have to grow. Something's going to be uncomfortable, and it's okay. It's okay. Just go through it, man. Learn from it.
Yeah, and it's a muscle. I think that negativity, that rebounding, all of that it's a muscle. The more times you get through that, the more times that it becomes like, I've been through this 1,000 times. That's not, I got this, where other people are like, sky is falling, I quit everything. You're like, it's just another day in paradise. I got this, and you're right. And to your point of like, surround yourself, success breeds success. I'm a huge believer in that. And I think that even as a father, if you go back to the guys I used to hang out with in high school and in college, like partying, greatest humans, I think we have fun going to bars and all this, and this. But as you get older, it's like, okay, some certain people got to get off your bus and you got to put new people onto your bus. And then, again, as that bus continues to drive, you're the driver of your bus. Someday you're going to crash that bus into a wall. And that's life. There is inevitable that bus has got to crash, but who's on that bus and at what time? And it is about, I think change is a part of that. And you've got to know that every season, every year, every couple of years, you got to reevaluate, are these the energetic people? And as Grant teaches that very well, of like, get in the room, but it's getting in the room, meeting the right people. But in order to push yourself out there, you never know, one relationship can change your life, absolutely. But also the people that you don't want to be around, get away. It's okay to say, this is the end of it. And mine was really, like I say that, it was good humans that were not great parents, or good people that were great partying friends, but I didn't like how they treated their children. And I'm like, are they that asshole children? Let's just say that. Like, you got asshole children that's coming from somewhere else. I'm sorry, but there's a parent that's involved in that. And I don't want my kids around that. I'm sorry. Like, I just don't need my kids around, bad influences. That's just not where I'm at in life anymore. And I get to choose that.
If somebody's listening to this right now and they're just starting out, because we get a lot of mid 20-year-old males that listen to this podcast, they're starting out, they're hustling, they're trying to figure life out. What would be that first thing of advice that you would give them? Would it be, figure out who you're hanging around with? Would that be number one? Would it be mindset? Would it be discipline? Would it be an ice bath? Like, what do you think is the most important thing for somebody to say, here's what you need to focus on first?
Yeah, I think see all the above. I really think it is all of that. I think it is, you gotta keep getting uncomfortable. You've got to meet people, get yourself in the rooms and learn from the people around you. But it is all, think as big as you can. Grant said this to me once. Well, we're having breakfast here in Pueblo, West Colorado, and he goes, and we spent 90 days together. We've done all this. And he's like, the difference in your problems and my problems, Matt? And I'm like, all right, give me some good advice. He goes, nothing. Mine have more zeros behind them in a private jet and a helicopter, but they're the same freaking problems. Think big, And I was like, and I do. I've always been a big thinker, but when I hung out with Grant, I'm like, man, this guy runs fast. And I think as big as you can, and you inspire people around you. Like, my mission has always been to change the world of health and wellness. It's to go build a global sleep shop that nobody else has ever done. That inspires people, and people come out of the woodworks, the most talented people on planet Earth, to come work for us because they want to make a difference. But if I was like, I'm going to open the best Pueblo West store, and then I'm going to work my way to Springs and open another cool store, and then Denver, there's not inspiration behind that. Like, maybe there is, but not the people that I'm trying to attract. And the way that I'm going to get there is by getting people way smarter than me. If you're ever in a board meeting or a traction meeting with us, I'm always the dumbest guy in the room by far, but I've surrounded myself by incredibly intelligent people and incredibly passionate people that are trying to change the world. But that's because I believe where we're going, and there's nobody that will convince me otherwise. And anybody on my team will tell you that. Like, there's not another soul on the planet that will convince me otherwise, and that has the passion and conviction, no matter what happens, that we're going to get there. We're on our way, and we're getting there every day. And yeah,
that's called purpose, man. That's called purpose, man. You're listening to that voice inside of you. So one of the things I talk about a lot is, being inspired. People are like, oh, I'm looking for motivation. I'm looking to be inspired. I'm like, inspired is in spirit. That's coming from inside of you. If God's coming from inside of you, he's in everyone, right? The great I am. You figured out what drives you, what makes you excited, and your spirit is calling out, and you're running with that. I think so many people are sad, upset, depressed, frustrated in life because they haven't either figured out what that is for them, or they're just not going in that direction because they're scared.
100%.
But I love your mission, dude. I love it. I love that you're doing it in a big way. In the integrated regenerative medical space, I'm doing the same thing. We're looking at expanding and growing. I'm not looking to say, how can I open the next store? How can I open the next location? I'm looking at it going, how can I make a freaking movement? Look at what look at Apple. They were talking about, I want to put a ding in the universe. Like that's a huge vision. But you're a visionary. You're a visionary type of guy. You're looking for the people, the integrators that can put it into place, so that way you don't have to be the person that goes, well, how do we get those contracts done? Like that's not your role. Your role is like, I don't know, get the contracts. Let's figure it out. Let's make it happen.
Right. 100%. Yeah. And that's where Traction, if anybody's out there that's trying to figure out how to run their business, I've been on Traction for 18 months now, 19 months, and it's changed my life. Like that is really, how does the visionary help with, an integrator? We have a third-party integrator who's just an incredible human. And then how do we, fill those seats, and everybody's working towards the same thing and all row in the same direction. But it allows, I think the frustration of somebody so passionate and so like crazy visionary like myself is that my teammates would be like, Matt, we haven't gotten the last thing done, and you're yelling at us to get the next thing done. And like, why haven't we got this done? Why haven't we got this done? And they're like, well, because you gave me another thing yesterday that it didn't get from the day before. And for me, it's like, nothing's getting done. And they're like, yeah, that's because, you haven't stopped. So really having somebody to be the middleman, like, hey, I know we need to get this done, but let's make this happen based on Traction and around principles and strategically, not just, let's change everything tomorrow. Let's change it again the next day until it all works. And that doesn't work, and so it's been incredible for me.
That creates chaos. Yeah, that creates chaos. I agree. I'm the same way. I run my organization on the entrepreneurial operating system. Just in case people listening to this don't know, EOS, Entrepreneurial Operating System, book by Gino Wickman. It's Traction. It just gives you a pretty easy to follow, organized structure of a business. So that way your business continues to grow and you eliminate a lot of the chaos. And that's what he's talking about. And I agree. It changed my life as well. About 3.5 years ago, we got on that process, and it's getting better and better. And so thanks for bringing that up. But you're a visionary. I am as well. I like talking big and thinking big. It drives the integrators crazy sometimes because they're like, well, how are we going to make that happen? I'm like, I don't know. You got to figure that out. Let's make it happen though. Exactly. Hey, but I think that's why we get along so well. One of my favorite times in my life, and even though it wasn't necessarily a huge event, but it was one of my favorite events, was coming out and hanging out with you guys for a couple of days in Pueblo. Very, very fun town. But I want to talk to you a little bit about that, because a lot of times people will talk about location and being so important, and people will pack up and move to big cities like Miami or Vegas or Dallas or Denver or Phoenix or Scottsdale. And a lot of friends of mine have done that. They've moved. Now, I live in a relatively small town. Pueblo is not huge. It's relatively small. How do you grow from a small town? You're about 2 hours away from a big regional, international airport. Yeah. So am I. Like, how do you grow from there and keep in that smaller area, but yet still make these connections? How do you do that?
I think it's, really honestly, Dr. G, it's kind of how we started this thing. Like, I don't like rules, and nobody's going to tell me that I have to go to a big city to fix that. Like, I mean, this is how I'm going to run my business. This is where I'm going to raise my kids, and there's nothing that's going to stop me. And I think because of that, like, it's been incredible. We have people from all over the world flying here for franchise training. We had, the president of one of the top sleep companies in the world came out and had dinner with me 2 weeks ago. Last week, we were entertaining 2 guys that have been this for 40 years. So, I mean, I'm not going to name drop all the different companies, but like, it's incredible that we've been able to get those people to come here because, attention attracts, and we are doing something that nobody's done in a crazy time. And I'm not, people have asked me that. And there's a part of me that might take off the next 12 months. Me and my wife have talked about it. Just maybe I'll announce it next year. I don't know. But we talked about taking 12 months off and getting in an RV and raising our kids and going to every one of my stores and spending some time in the stores and living in an RV for 12 months and homeschooling the kids. Like, but I'm still coming home. This is home. This is where my babies
Right.
will be raised, no matter what happens outside of there. So I think it's unconditional rules of people's thinking you need to move to go do something else. And I would say you drop me into anywhere and I'm going to be successful. Like, I don't care where it is, how it is, and how big or how small that town is. I'm going to smile. I'm going to enjoy it, and I will be successful. But that's the attitude I think that I have, that, I think people are missing that. They're like, oh, and then they get there and they're like, I'm in LA. This is where I'm going to be successful. And they're like, oh man, I'm just this little tiny fish in this big thing. Yeah, you could find that out too real quick. Or you can, there's excuses on anything, or there's success. And I don't choose to find the other side. And I think we just stuck our pole in the ground here and said, this is where we're growing. And it's worked. And it will continue to.
That's working really well. I mean, you're doing extremely well. But I think that is an extremely important point. If I could talk right there, an extremely important point is that you have to be a successful person before you reach success. If that makes sense, like you've said it 3 times, dude. I don't know. I'm a successful person. I don't care. That's what I am. That's who I am. That's what I do. Like the opposite is not even part of your vocabulary. It's not something you can even fathom. Like, what do you, no, I'm going to move in a way that I believe is correct, regardless of what the worldly rules tell me. And it's going to work because I just know it is. How do you know? I just know it is. It just is. I have this similar experience. So as you know, I was a chiropractor for 15 years, and being a chiropractor, I was the only provider in the clinic. And when I made the decision to switch over to an integrated regenerative medicine, which is combining medical and chiropractic together, I was told by everyone that I knew that were not in business, friends, family, even other workers that I had in my office, employees, they were like, this is crazy. Don't do this. But I knew, it's like, I can't tell you how or why. I just know this is the thing that needs to happen. Yeah. Now, 4 years later, look, I'm sitting here talking to you about business and traction and growth and relationships. And it lights me up. It gets me excited. And I can't imagine how all the things I would have missed out on if I didn't make that decision, because I just knew it. So what advice, like for you, you're the same way. What if somebody's sitting there and they're just like, I don't know. Is there any advice that you give to somebody like that to figure themselves out?
Well, I mean, I think there's, the advice is definitely, to your point, like you got to feel it, but you got to love it too. You know what I mean? Like, don't just I wouldn't be like, I'm going to build the best burger in the entire world and French fry shop, and I'm going to be really great at that. Like, no, this is what I know, and this is what I'm passionate about. And I know that there's nobody better in the world, I think, than what we're doing right now. I really believe that generally, but I've been doing this for 25 years, 26 years now. I've been in the sleep game. So this is very confidently, I can tell you, there's nothing that you can throw at me that I can't solve in the sleep game. But that's 25 years of confidence too. And I've been doing it for a long time. So I would say you don't want to just grab something and say, I'm going to do that. Find something you love. I love it. I can talk about sleep and health all day long. And I think that is probably one of my best, I was on the front line, so I saw goods and bads in franchising. I saw goods and bads of mattresses. So I don't have to BS my way through anything, I don't have to fix my BS on that because I know it, I do. So it really is, I think, find what you're looking for, but then just study, be the best in the world. I mean, this weekend I was reading the FDD for McDonald's from 1956. I think I was looking at it, and I was just going through like their annual reports that I didn't even know were public information. I found all this stuff, and I'm like, man, this is so interesting. When McDonald's was built, what they did. And, and I find ourselves in a similar scenario, just watching this growth and seeing like, yeah, we could do that and we can have more fun. And we have 2 guys in pajamas selling sleep all day long instead of burgers and making people fat. And we could actually change the world, and do the same kind of a model, owning real estate, doing all this stuff. So, I think that it's got to be enjoyable. There's not a shirt that I have or a suit that I have that doesn't say Snooze on it, because it's who I am. It's bred in me, and it's what I love to do. So yeah, find what you love and run as fast as you can, but don't don't let the haters or any naysayers stop that thing, because that is a part of the journey. That was probably the hardest part for me. If you want to talk about challenges, was going as you grow this. I was the guy, probably even 3 years ago, it wasn't that long ago, that if somebody was saying something bad about me, I would invite them to coffee. And I'd be like, let's talk about this. What's going on? Like, why don't you like me? You must not know me. Like, cause I go out of my way. And I was like, I took that way too seriously. And then after, a little bit of time, I started to learn like, man, that's a part of the journey. There's just people out there that are going to hate just to hate. They don't even know me. They don't know a scenario. They don't know anything. So you got to just get thicker skin and just keep doing what you're doing because, it's unfortunately a part of life.
Did you come to the realization that that had more to do with them than it had to do with you?
1,000,000%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, 1,000,000%. Like it is, it's them. And it's, it's jealousy in some areas. It's hate in other, it's just, to me, it's not knowing the other side of the story. I think there's never a time I've ever stole or cheated or lied. It's just not me. It's not my nature. I would never do that. So if you want to make up something that somebody did this, and this, then it's somebody that made, you know what I mean? They don't know the facts. Learn the facts, and people make their own facts up, So I was in politics for 4 years as an elected official, and it was the hardest thing I've ever done because I'm just like, man, it is in this little tiny town. It can be shady, and like people are
Mm.
just backstabbing, doing what they got to do to get things passed and make things. And I'm like, oh man, I can't even imagine when you get up to the higher levels of government. Like I can't even imagine what goes on up there. But you got to have thick skin.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I look at some of the, if you look at politics wise, I look at some of the things that, people say about politicians, and you really know so little about any of them that, you're making these base judgments out of nowhere. So I really work towards not doing that. I look towards getting the full story before I make any judgments, and really not, not wasting my time on that, because that doesn't benefit anyone around me. It doesn't benefit me, my family, or anybody else. So I'm like, why are we focused on that? Let's focus on moving the ball forward for what we can control, which is helping more people in what we're great at. And so I know you don't spend a whole lot of time in doing that. I've been told I would do well in politics as well. Well, you need to become you're so honest, and you're a good speaker, and you're like you said, your voice, oh, you'd be great. And I'm like, nope. And they're like, why not? And I said, because I'm too honest. I'd end up getting shot.
Yeah,
They're like,
it's not.
you can be honest in politics. I'm like, you might start honest in politics, but I don't know if you're going to stay honest, because things will happen. So I stay out of that. I just stick with what I can do, and that's help people improve their lives without using med steroids and surgery, and help people improve their lives on things like this podcast, where we really help them to understand that life is a journey. In fact, I always say, I love that you say you've been doing this 25 years, you're still in love with it, you're still going forward and that sort of thing. One of my biggest mistakes in my career, business wise, was I tried to do things too quickly. I wanted things to happen, and I wanted them to happen now. And I thought if I just worked harder, it would happen quicker because I worked harder. I'd put more hours in. I would put my, whatever, buckle down, and I would make it
Yeah.
happen. And that making it happen doesn't really work, is something I've learned, especially if it's not really a full 100% authentic to who you are. What would you say the biggest factor to growth and your success is?
Um, I think it's, always learning. Like I said, I read the McDonald's thing this week. I think you just always got to learn and make yourself obsolete, or somebody else will. It's a quote that I love because it's so true in an industry that I'm in, and retail in general. We are the shiny, funnest, greatest thing out there, and we're doing it different, but I
Mm.
got to continue that. I, I think that, you every morning I have to wake up and go, how do I change the world for my franchisees, because ultimately they're the stakeholders. I work for all of them. And if they fail, I have screwed something up really bad. And it's like, and these guys bet on me. So the pressure of being a franchisor is a whole different game. But I enjoy it and I embrace it. But it is I have to continue to make sure they're different and they're better and they're evolving. They're figuring out other ways to make money, change more lives, and do things. And I got to do things that might not matter to me. And like, truth be told, Dr. G, like I really don't care about money. Like I'm not a money driven guy. Like it doesn't do anything for me. Like it doesn't, I need it for, so I can take the kids places and stuff, but sometimes that can be a challenge because money makes the world go around in a lot of areas. So I got to make sure that we're focused on all of the things, from a KPI standpoint in the business that drives people. I mean, I love to sell. I love the thrill of winning. I love all of that. But as far as like the money, like, that's cool. Like, but it's never like, it'll be there because I want to be a billionaire or whatever that is, but it's not because I want to like, I want to say that. I mean, it really is like, I don't know. I mean, but the pressure of that side of it makes us every day. What are we doing today to be different than yesterday? And what are we doing every day to make sure that we're better? So I would say for, advice out there is whatever you're in, learn everything about yourself, learn everything about your competition, but don't worry about your competition. I mean, I tell everybody, if we're going to reinvent an industry or change the world of sleep and health, we're not going to do it by looking at what Mattress Firm has done and what Sleep Number has done and what American Furniture has done. We're going to look at what Tesla has done and what Nike has done and what Facebook has done and what Dr. G has done, like Gary Brecka has done. That's how we change the world. We don't need to be around mattress people. We need to look at the other industries and figure out how do we integrate that into our industry. Hence why I'm doing an ice bath with Gary Brecka and doing these other things, is because that's health and wellness. That's
Yeah.
part of the journey of health and wellness. And sleep is one of the most underrated things on planet Earth. That everybody sleeps and it recharges our battery. And even when I met Grant, he slept on a cheap mattress and had a $200,000 red light therapy machine in the same room. And I'm like this industry has done a bad thing. So really, I mean, make yourself obsolete and continue to grow and continue to see what else is out there. And there's a cheat code that you and I didn't have, that AI stuff. We barely got Google when I was growing up, and that was right when I started getting into business world. We got Google, and now AI. If you're not embracing that, you're crazy right now. Like it's changing the world right now. And there's a cheat code
Yeah.
out there all day.
I agree with you, and it's changing so quickly. It's something you have to stay up on constantly because it is so important. It's gonna be in everything. It already is. It's amazing how quick it's doubling. So I agree with you on that. So what's the future for you, Matt? What's the future for you and Snooze, and where are you headed? You want to be a billionaire? You want to change the industry, put a ding in the sleep universe? What's next for you?
Yeah, all of that. I mean, that's it. Like that's where we're going. I mean, I think we say every day 50 million people sleeping better because of Snooze and what we do out there in the brand and the beautiful souls in pajamas that are every day on the front line helping people. And we're doing a lot with the brand. I mean, we're now getting to the health and wellness side where we have our own stuff coming out. We continue to get patents and different sleep products, and that's where we're going to be going, is how do we continue to evolve the sleep industry? We'll be the first to do sleep apnea inside of a mattress store, in-home sleep apnea, being able to take Medicaid, Medicare, insurance stuff inside. We'll be the first because I'm going to make sure that we're always the first. But really, the ultimate goal is 50 million people sleeping better, 20 million people in the United States sleeping better because of Snooze. And that will bridge everything else that I want. That'll help get the billions of dollars in revenue and become a billionaire and really help my kids grow up with the life that, I want them to grow up with, but a life that they earn as well, too. So I think change the world of sleep. I think Snooze will be accredited for what Apple was accredited for the technology side. I mean, when you think of every morning when you hit that snooze button, you're going to think of us and you're going to think of sleep and wellness and health and wellness and really a Snooze store near you, or Snooze Slide, or Snooze Health and Wellness, or all of these other proprietary things. I won't bore you with all the cool stuff that we have coming out, but just wellness. I mean, sleep is our game, and it is what we're going to change.
Well, I love that because health is the one thing that you don't think about until it's the only thing you think about.
Amen.
If you look at the stats in America, America has 4.25% of percent of the world's population. We spend more money on healthcare than the entire world combined right now. We have we come in last place when it comes to all the health rankings. When you compare to first world countries, we come in 69th when you compare to all countries in health. And so, we are spending a lot of money on this thing called health, but in reality, our healthcare is not really healthcare. It's more sick care. And so the person has to take the responsibility. You have to take responsibility for your health, which involves things like snooze or sleeping, if you will, sleeping properly, because that's something we all have to do. And if you're not doing it properly, guess what? You're not going to recharge your body and you're not going to have the energy to take on the day and jump in the ice bath and do all the things that you can do to improve your health. But we make it harder and more complicated than we need to. It's a lot simpler than we need to make it, but you're the one that's responsible for it. And so I appreciate you doing what you're doing to help people, and it helps them live out their purpose and live better lives and improve the quality of their life. And that's what it's all about, at the end of the day. So really appreciate what you're doing in that space.
I appreciate it. We're just beginning. It's going to be fun. I mean, we'll have thousands of stores around the country and the globe, and change franchising, change sleep. I think that'll be success. But I think people like yourself and myself, after you get there, you'll be like, what's next?
Uh, Always, constantly. Yeah. What's next? Hey, well, we did this thing. Cool. That was fun. Let's
Yeah.
continue. Let's grow. Let's see what the next phase is. Yeah. I mean, why not? What are you going to do? The most successful, financially successful people I know are the ones that work the most, and also put work in quotations. And the reason why they work is because they're able to live their purpose.
Mhm.
That's the whole point of being here, is to enjoy the journey, enjoy the experience, and live your purpose. And figuring out what your purpose is the first step. And then having the cojones to live it is the second step. That way you can wake up every day after getting off of your snooze sleep mattress, and you can be just like Matt and be excited to face your day with, some excitement, some fulfillment, purpose side of life. So really appreciate what you're doing. Thanks for being back on the Fix Your BS podcast, where we really help to or work towards giving people what they need to build their dream life. That's which includes sleep.
Amen. Sleep is a part of it. Thanks for having me on here,
Amen.
Dr. G. Thanks. You keep changing the world, and I look forward to the next episode that we do this again.
Absolutely. I appreciate you being here. So thanks everybody for tuning into this episode of Fix Your BS. I hope you gained valuable insights and inspiration to challenge your own belief systems. If you're ready to take the next step and join the Fix Your BS community dedicated to your personal transformation, check out my coaching group by clicking the link in the description, where we'll work together to turn your dreams into reality. Remember, the only thing standing between you and your goals is your beliefs and your actions. So let's fix them. Till next time, keep believing in yourself and fix your BS.